It's the Clark the Shark Show. 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone. And I'm going to talk about one hell of a debut album, Shades of Deep Purple. And everybody in the band has an afro, or at least these three guys. And of course, these first two or three Deep Purple albums are like my favorite because they got Rod Evans, that guy, and Nick Simper, him. Of course, him, Ian Pace, greatest drummer ever, Ian Pace. But before Deep Purple went all heavy metal, with Ian Gillan, after they heard Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin 1 changed the whole world. Although there was very much hard rocking music long before Led Zeppelin 1, there was Jimi Hendrix, Cream, and Janis Joplin and the Jeff Beck Group. I mean, all these people that say how Led Zeppelin was, they were just the first ever, That's like saying Nirvana was just the first. Oh, they're just the first. Oh, yeah, what about Black Flag and the Stooges and, all that? That's good, too, I guess, at 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show. But Shades of Deep Purple, 1968. What an album. What a great band this was. And of course, Rod Evans would go on and form an even greater band, in my humble opinion, Clark the Shark. And of course, that band would be Captain Beyond, with that first amazing album that they did where they had Rhino and Lee Dorman from Iron Butterfly, with the greatest drummer in the world, Bobby Caldwell, and of course this guy right here. And that album by Captain Beyond is probably the greatest rock album ever recorded. Maybe not even arguably. You talk to anybody, any musician, I mean a serious musician, they will tell you Captain Beyond with Rod Evans and Bobby Caldwell and Rhino and Lee Dorman. There is not a better rock album, pound for pound, note for note, song for song. That album by Captain Beyond is incredible at 1-800-449-8255. But we're not talking about that album. We're talking about Shades of Deep Purple, which of course is an album way before. And this album is a phenomenal debut. Is it ripping off Vanilla Fudge or, all the accusations back in the day? I don't know, maybe, kinda. You could just as much say they're ripping off The Who and Cream and Jimi Hendrix or the Beatles or whatever. I mean, anything, really. But that's what rock is. Somebody like Buddy Holly writes a song, or Elvis, and then the Beatles come along and John Lennon's like, well, being in a rock band is probably the least original thing you could ever do. You're just redoing a song by Elvis or Buddy Holly. But Deep Purple, Shades of Deep Purple, 1968. I love this album cover because they all just got big hair. And they're not quite heavy metal, but they're like telling you we rock hard with this big hair that we got. I mean, they're letting you know this is heavy, this is hard rocking. It's a little psychedelic, baby. It's got it all when you're listening to Shades of Deep Purple by just one of my favorite bands. And yes, I love Deep Purple, all phases. I saw Deep Purple at Long Beach Arena, and I'll never forget Ian Gillan bathing in the bright lights of, just this bright, bright neon flashing. I can still see it in my mind's eye. It was such a great show. They were great. They weren't the Deep Purple of long ago, that night that I saw them in 84, 85 at Long Beach. But I had to see Deep Purple, all 5 of these guys, the Ian Gillan version. But I wish I had seen the Nick Simper and Rod Evans version too. Of course, me, Clark the Shark. I'm a Deep Purple fanatic. Ritchie Blackmore and John Lord and Ian Pacer. Genius, Ritchie Blackmore, arguably the greatest guitarist in rock. And who smashes a guitar better? Is it Pete or is it Ritchie? They both get high marks for the way they wreck things on stage. I mean, Ritchie throws whole amplifiers into the crowd. I think he has Pete a little beaten at 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show, the most fabulous show on talk radio, on YouTube, anywhere. Reviews, politics, everything, baby. I got him at 1-800-449-8255. But I don't got talent like this. Shades of Deep Purple. Amazing. Should get all 5 stars, Come on, baby. Shades of Deep Purple. This has got a lot of great music on it, let me tell you. And, if it doesn't get 5, well, it gets a 4. I mean, Pop Matters. Well, what's Pop Matters? I mean, they got 4 stars not lit up. That's just a 6 out of 10 for Deep Purple. And, of course, And the Address. The instrumental. Great stuff, man. Great way to start out a career. Start out an amazing album. But of course, one of the greatest rock songs is actually a cover written by Joe South. Hush. We all know Deep Purple, Hush. A classic all over KLOS and rock radio from east to west coast. Great song, Hush. Come on, you guys. One of the greatest songs in rock and roll from England. And it's just a cover, Hush, but it's great. I love it. I love that song. And One More Rainy Day by Lord and Evans. Really good. This is Meat and Potatoes, baby. Prelude, Happiness. I'm so glad. Just really fucking killer, man. I love it when bands do weird, mix a original shit with a cover, or, I just love weird shit. And this Deep Purple album for a debut is so weird. But side 2 and Mandrake Root, awesome, man. Awesome. Phil Keegan loves that. He loves these Ritchie Blackmore doodlings. They're just amazing. And, all of them, man. All of them. All of them, man. They're just super talent. I'm not super wild about their version of Help, track number 6. It's all right, Help. Yeah, man. It's good stuff, but I like John Lennon and the Beatles version much more. Love, Help Me. That's another song with help. Oh, man. Love it. Fuck yeah, love it, dude. I love the originals on here. I wish bands wouldn't do all these covers, but back in the 60s, bands would mix in cover, but they had these killer Meat and Potatoes songs. like love. Help me. I love Richie Blackmore, man. I love him. Writes good shit. Great guitarist. Amazing songwriter and guitarist. And of course, Hey Joe. So many bands did Hey Joe. I mean, I refuse. When I was in the Greenhouse Effect and Phil Keegan started playing Hey Joe, I protested and I would not sing it because I'm like, no more Hey Joe. I don't. No Hey, no Joe. I don't want any Hey Joe. And of course, Zappa, Frank Zappa, the same year, 1968, on We're Only in It for the Money, has his parody version of Hey Joe. And it's so fucking killer. I love it, love it, love it. But Deep Purple, for serious music where you're not laughing, where you're just, look at these guys. They're not laughing, man. And when you listen to this album, Shades of Deep Purple, and you hear the early John Lord and Richie Blackmore, where they're demonstrating to you guys what they're going to do in the future on this album, and 2 other albums with Rod Evans. I'm telling you, buy all 3 of these Deep Purple albums. Yeah, I hate to say this, but these are the 3 best Deep Purple albums by far, and it's not even close. Book of Talogen is so awesome. I already reviewed it. It's incredible. And just the one simply titled Deep Purple, killer, man. Really fucking killer. I'm so bummed at this band for getting rid of Rod Evans. And when they got rid of Rod, Ian Gillan came along and he brought a bass player named Roger Glover. And they got rid of Nick Simper. And I'm like, dude, what are you guys... What? Nick Simper is just an innocent victim here, you know? What did he do wrong? He's just... The only thing he did wrong was that Ian Gillan brought Roger Glover. But of course, we knew it was going to be an amazing band. And we all know now what happened on the next Deep Purple albums, where these guys went to another level. In terms of, cheap rock and roll, like Led Zeppelin, loud, bang your head. You'd go to a concert and just bang your head. It was the greatest music. Like The Who or Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple, concert rock. Deep Purple, man, they are right there in the inner circle of the top 10, maybe the top 5 bands of all time. But there is something to be said for those first 3 albums that are just so amazing. I love those 3 Deep Purple albums with Rod Evans. And Nick Simper, him, right there. I love the first 3, but of course they would get incredible with Ian Gillan and Roger Glover in Rock and Fireball and Machine Head. Ugh, great shit, man. I love it. I love just fun, rock, loud, bang your head. Let's go to a concert and go deaf and listen to Led Zeppelin and then The Who and Deep Purple. Back in the 70s, smoke a bunch of marijuana, drink a bunch of beer, and just get completely polluted out of your mind. You don't even remember the concert, man. I've gone to so many concerts where I literally don't remember the concert at all. And I paid, back in the 80s or whatever, what was then a lot. Like if you paid 30 or 60 bucks or 50 bucks to go see a show, that's a lot of money in the 80s. If you just, out in the parking lot scalping tickets, or you wind up in the nosebleeds and it's still so loud. Deep Purple, Rainbow, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, The Firm, The Who, The Rolling Stones. You just go to concerts and you get your ears blown out by loud PA systems. But let me tell you, there's not a better band to go do that than Deep Purple. But I would have loved to have seen this early version of these guys when they had big afros. All 5 of them. They all had big hair. Big guitars from Ritchie Blackmore. Big keyboards from John Lord. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love this band. Deep Purple. Deep Purple. Those guys. Great album. Of the 3 albums, I like this one the most. But all 3 of them are incredible with Rod Evans. Go on Amazon right here, Amazon, and buy this album if you're watching, listening to me now. Deep Purple, Shades of Deep Purple, 1968. The early Deep Purple. I love the early Deep Purple. I love it. Love Rod Evans, and I love Captain Beyond till the day I die. You know, but of course I love all Deep Purple. It's such a shade of purple. Look at it. Great album, you guys. These first 3 Deep Purple albums are the best. You talk to any guitarist into Ritchie Blackmore, and they might agree. For John Lord, too. He's laying out some beautiful shit on Shades of Deep Purple. And you know Ian Pace is not going to let you down. So I want you guys to buy this album. And you tell them that you heard about it on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255, from the golden EIB Sharkerphone, that Wolfman Jack on crack, who just gave you the only review of one of the most amazing albums ever recorded that you will ever need. This review right here. You don't need to watch another YouTuber. You come to the Clark the Shark Show, you listen to me, and then you buy the album. And then you write Deep Purple a letter, and you say, "Dear Ritchie, we know you're with that bird and you're happy now, and you're free from Ian Gillan, and you don't have to argue anymore with Gillan and Glover and Ian Pace. Rod is gone, and John is gone, and Ritchie's happy at last. Him and his ego are all alone now in a big mansion in England. And he can just sit there and yell at a mirror and say, 'I'm Ritchie Blackmore, and I'm the greatest guitarist ever.'" You're the greatest, Ritchie. Okay, don't worry. You're better than Pete. You know, you're better than Jimmy. You're better than the other Jimmy, too. You're just the greatest, Ritchie. You know, everyone's influenced by you. Dragon Force and Yngwie Malmsteen and Eddie Van Halen. They secretly all are like, "We love this guy, Ritchie Blackmore. Greatest guitarist ever," from Deep Purple and Shades of Deep Purple. Great album, you guys. I want you to buy this. Clark the Shark, 1-800-449-8255. 1968, a great year. And I want you guys to Google 1968 music and buy as much music from 1968 that you can buy. I was only 3 years old, but I remember hearing all the music. I remember the psychedelic 60s, don't ask me how, but I remember being 3 and 4 years old and seeing a girl in a strawberry flowery dress. And she was listening to Deep Purple, and this guy right here. Oh, and him too. These amazing 5 guys. Shades of Deep Purple. Buy the album. And you heard it from Clark the Shark, 1-800-449-8255, from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone. And I'm out of here, you guys. Love ya. Sharky out. Peace.